welcome to the show where we share the stories of the many who intersect with our healthcare system but are rarely heard from. My name is Kevin Poe, founder and editor of Kevin MD. Rate and review the show at kevinmd.com/rate. Subscribe at kevinmd.com/follow. Today we welcome back on the show Diana Londoño. She's a urologist. Her latest Kevin MD article is Burnout is a Spiritual Crisis. Diana, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always such a fun pleasure to be here. Really, thank you.
So you've been on the show before, so I highly encourage everyone to go and look up prior episodes and find out more about Diana. But I want to jump straight into this article. It's titled Burnout is a Spiritual Crisis. Diana, for those who didn't get a chance to read this latest article, just walk my audience through it and share the story of why you decided to write it.
Yes, thank you. So, I'm very thankful, like I said, to have been here before in the podcast and have, the ability to have shared articles on your platform. And one of the first articles I wrote was, basically awakening to our consciousness. Are we anesthetized to our consciousness was the title really. And it's just been a journey. And the first article I wrote was really kind of when I was in my second round of burnout and when I kind of, let's say, awakened and I just started to see things a different way. I really awakened to consciousness, to awareness, which is what coaching is about, which is what Buddhist principles are about. And really that was when I first really started to kind of express myself through writing. And that was the first article. And then there's been a series of just writing for my own healing, which I use for that, and just to express myself and whatever sort of going on at the time, I write about it and I share it, and hopefully it can help somebody, give somebody else a courage to make a change, to think about things, to pause, to reflect on things. That's really the goal of why I write, and really, like I said, to heal myself. But this last one was really a little bit of a circle of coming through and getting to a point where, yes, we know the data, let's say from Medscape about burnout, it's about too many tasks, we're not respected. I know all that data, and you can look it up too, the Medscape articles about, burnout and the causes. And those are good. And I think those are interesting and important, but I think they're a little bit surface level causes. And I think if you go a little bit deeper into the causes, you start seeing that there's more to that, and that there is definitely sort of like a split. When you split between the needs of, like, let's say your spirit, your soul, whatever, your spirituality and your body, then we start getting to burnout. And to me, that really was what it was about talking about when I was in my second round of burnout and I was really in a dark place and I was really laying in bed just thinking like, what am I going to do? I want to get out of medicine because I don't want to be here. I need a ticket out of it. That's why I became a coach, because I wanted to do coaching full time or something else, anything else. I kind of sat in bed and I thought, well, what am I good at? What can I do to help people? Like, what's my purpose? Which is sort of like what people ask when they have a midlife crisis. But it's also actually their spiritual questions. I never realized this. These are spiritual questions. Like what are you good at? How can I use my skills to help others? What am I grateful for? Who am I? And these are the questions that are spiritual questions, which again, I never knew because my spiritual life was really a desert. So I was never tapped into my spirituality. And it's not about religion. I mean, you could be Muslim, Jewish, Christian, whatever you want to be. It's about just spirituality. And really asking these questions and pondering on this really was what started me in this whole journey. And then when you really focus, think about, meditate, whatever you want to call that, every day on this, it really, changes your life, incredibly. And again, I didn't change my job. I have the same job and I love my job and I love every day, not because I changed anything except my thoughts. I mean, that's the only thing I changed, my mindset, my thoughts, the questions I'm asking myself, what I'm focusing on. So I'm not focusing on all the negativity, I'm focusing on all the good, what am I grateful for every day. And it just changes everything. And then it's sort of like, well, we all have that within us. We don't have to be always angry, hopeless, frustrated. Like, that actually is not our true nature as humans. We're not that at all, but we think we are. We were like, well, how can we not be stressed? Look at the gas prices, look at what's happening in the world, look at these shootings, look at everything. How can you not be stressed? How can you not think the world is a terrible place?
So tell me about that connection between spirituality and burnout, because that is an angle that I actually don't often hear. We've talked about burnout so many times on this podcast.
Yeah.
So it's almost like reframing burnout, almost like
Mhm.
that. So maybe taking it away from some of the negativity about it and asking it
Yeah.
more of these introspective questions. So tell me a little bit about that reframing, about how you can make that connection with some of these spirituality questions that you ask.
Yeah, this is a good question. And actually, I have a colleague that is actually tackling burnout in this sense. The way that he's trying to tackle it is actually using like the 12-step program, like for addiction or anything. And that those 12-step programs are about spirituality. Like if you've ever been in any addiction program, which he was because he went into burnout and
Hmm.
addiction and all this, the way he got out of it was through his 12-step program for addiction. But then he's trying to tackle this for burnout for physicians. And I think it's just genius. His name is Dominic Kerrigan. And he is amazing because he's tapping into this, which again, it is not, we could look at all the negatives and this and that, like I said, the Medscape stuff and the data that is superficial. And we can also look at kind of like all the negativity about it. But when you, like I said, go a little deeper, there's deeper questions here. And when you tap into that, and when I ask myself that every morning, like, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? Who am I? And the who am I starts getting into ego. So ego, because like you ask me, who are you? Or you
Hmm.
introduce me, I'm a urologist. Like that's actually a role. Like I'm a urologist, I'm a mom, I'm this, I'm that. I have a lot of roles. But what happens a lot of times also with physicians is like we hold on to this role. Like I'm a neurologist, I'm a cardiologist so much that if something were to happen and you're not a cardiologist anymore, your life, like you really go into a crisis. And actually this is a spiritual crisis because you go into a crisis because you're no longer that.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing like if you're a mother, like if I'm a mom and my kids die, I mean, you never want that, of course. But if they die, then you're like, what am I? Or you're now an empty nester. And so you have a crisis because you held on to these roles that are just roles that are temporary. And when you realize that those are just temporary and you're not so attached and you go to the actual true role that you're like a pure loving kind soul, and that's who you are as a true soul being. You're not a doer because these are other like doers. I'm just a being of love, of light, of enthusiasm, which is all spiritual. Then it doesn't matter all these roles that come and go, come and go,
Hmm.
come and go, and you don't have these crises every time you become an empty nester. You're no longer an aunt. You're no longer this. You're no longer, a college student. When you transition out of these roles, people suffer so much because they're so attached to it. You know, and and when you realize this, and again, you realize tapping into spirituality. And again, many religions also kind of do it, and you can go different ways to the same path.
Hmm.
It just really becomes much different. Again, and tapping into this, I didn't change anything external, any role. I have the same roles, but I changed how I view things. I changed what I put attention to, and that's really the difference. And it really has been so much joy, so much connection with people that are like-minded, and I'm just so grateful because it's just been such an amazing journey. And I am really grateful for the whole year of burnout symptoms, all the physical manifestations, true physical, the whole body. I mean, it's in the article, all the stuff that happened. I'm glad it was a whole year. I'm glad it was really dark
Hmm.
and negative because then I felt it and I can relate to you because it was a year of really not fun. And it gives you so much like empathy. Like I hear you, I see you, I've been there. Like I'm not just talking, like out of it, like not knowing what it is. I know what it is. And there's a different way. And I also am grateful because when there's so much dark, you see the light, and it's sort of like everything shall pass, right? Like this too shall pass. Even if the things are going on right now, or even if you're in a bad situation, it will pass. The bad things are not forever, and the good things are not forever. But we also hold on to like we just want happiness, but
Hmm.
happiness is not forever. It's like unrealistic, and sadness and grief and all that is not forever. They just pass. They're just seasons of life and of time. So again, these are things that explored and really got into, just really tapping into that. And you definitely sometimes need a guide as well, a mentor, a coach. And my coach Disha Phillip is my coach and my spiritual coach, and I am so grateful for her because it really has opened up a whole nother realm of life.
Walk me a little bit through that process. So a lot of clinicians are listening to you, and let's say they're burnt out, or whatever, seeing 30 to 40 patients a day, and they're just up to midnight, just on an EMR, just filling messages and cleaning out the inbox, and they're about to say, I'm done with this. What else is there in life? So let's say this clinician comes to you, and you want to make that spiritual connection. So guide us a little bit through about the process about what you would do.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not a spiritual coach, but I'm a coach. But I really, and the way that I've used my stuff, and I'll get back to the question, but like the way I've used it is more to do it for other physicians in a not an individual basis, but I founded like Physician Coach Support, which is a platform which is free and confidential for physicians to come and just get help with anything that may be challenging them.
Hmm.
So it's not a long-term transformation of like the coaching that you do in 12 weeks, 6 months, whatever you choose, but it's really like just to get you a little bit of like help, a little bit like somebody to help you and guide you in that like time where you're like maybe in those 40 charts and you're like, I'm done. Like, who can I talk to because my husband is tired of hearing me or something, or they don't understand, or nobody understands me. But at Physician Coach Board, there are physicians who are coaches who most of them actually have been through burnout as well. And they understand, they get you. They're there to support you. And again, it doesn't mean you have to do coaching, but it just means like we're there for you. So that's kind of how you said, not like in an individual, I'm going to coach you one-on-one, but like I'm doing this for other physicians because you matter. Like I want to kind of maybe emphasize, like you matter, you're valuable. Like this is not how you should be living. And the first thing I would say, like what to do is you gotta pause. Like you have to pause. Like you just have to. You have to pause in the day. You have to pause at the end of the night or whenever in the morning and have time for you. Have time to like ask these questions like, is this what I want? Is this what my life is going to be? Is this what I want to create and I'm created or not? And if you don't pause, nothing's going to change because you're just going to be in the hamster wheel. Bah, 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 bah. So you have to pause. You have to pause in time for whatever you want to call it: prayer, meditation, introspection, journaling, whatever you like to call it. It doesn't make you uncomfortable, call it that and use that time. You have to pause even throughout the day. Like I literally do that between patients. I breathe, I just kind of recenter myself, reset, like because you pick up a lot of energy and a lot of stuff. And the thing is, like when patients come, for example, they're angry, they're frustrated, like that is their anger. It's not mine. I don't get to keep it. I don't want to internalize it. I don't want to carry it. I'm going to be empathetic and listen and acknowledge their frustration, pain, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to carry it. I'm going to like hold it and like release it and give it to the universe because it's not mine. And you need to use the happiness. I mean, I will celebrate with them, but it's not mine, it's theirs. So we have to like learn to realize that as well, that all this stuff from other people is not ours. What is ours is our own love, our own happiness, our own joy, and then we can kind of share that with everybody else too. But that is what's ours, and like let's not take in other people's, you know, other emotions and frustrations and energy and negativity, positivity. That actually is for them.
Now, how long did it take you to understand that there was a spiritual component to burnout?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I mean, it was like 42 years old. So, I mean, it really was really this past probably year and a half
Mm.
of really, like realizing, but it really was like, not too long ago. I mean, it was really like, aha, like, oh, it was that day when I wrote the article. And it was that day that I'm like, this is what it is. Like the light bulb went off. So it wasn't like, oh my God, I've known this the whole time and it's been work. And that's what people sometimes don't realize. It's work, but I mean, anything in life is work. Like if you're going to be a piano recital in Carnegie Hall, it takes work to practice
Hmm.
every day. And this is work. Every morning, every night, I work on it. I spend time on it every single day. And then you fail, and then you just like, oh, that was a good lesson. Let's then like use that because that was a lesson. And it's every day, every day, every day. So people just want that, pill that is magical, and in like 6 weeks you're fantastic or your money back. Well, it's not like 8 weeks transformation.
Yeah.
You're back to like flying in like la la land. No, it's like every day. It's for the rest of your life if you want to do that. And if you don't want to, that's okay. Everybody has their own journey. We can't force feed people wellness. We can't force people like to awaken and see a different way of living. You can't. But I could offer, I can show it, I can be it so they can hopefully get excited like that can be a way. But I can't force feed wellness. Like if you don't want to take time for yourself, that's okay. You're gonna suffer with heart attacks and stroke and bad relationships
Hmm.
and everything terrible because you chose that. It's a choice. And people also get very upset about that. They're like, oh, it's not a choice, it's happening to me. And no, you are the creator of your life. Whatever is happening in your life, good or bad, you created that. So, and again, that's a big pill for people to swallow, and that's okay. Like when you're ready to, dive into it, you will. Like we can't force them. anybody. Like you couldn't have forced me 5 years ago. I wouldn't have listened. Like it does. I had to. Like you had to come to a point when it makes sense to you.
We're talking to Diana Londoño. She's a urologist. Her latest Kevin MD article is titled Burnout is a Spiritual Crisis. Diana, what are some of your take-home messages that you want to leave with the Kevin MD audience?
Thank you. Yeah, I think take a pause. It is imperative. Otherwise, if you don't pause to reflect, nothing will change. The other one is, it's a journey. It takes work. It's work every day. And the last one is like, you are valuable. You are worthy. Like, really listen to those words. Like, you are worthy, your value. Like, don't listen to these false beliefs that we have been taught in medical training and all this stuff. Like, those are false beliefs. We have a lot of them. But the main one is like, you're worthy, you're valuable. So, just that's the last really important thing I want you to believe and know and quiet and realize it is you.
And how can people reach you?
Yes, I can find me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, Diana Londoño MD. You can go to my website, dianalondoñomd.com. All my articles are there. You can also connect there. But yeah, absolutely. I'm on almost all platforms, probably except Instagram. I'm not that active, but just reach out. I love to connect. If this resonates, again, I love to talk about it. I can talk about it for hours, not just 30 minutes, but I really would love to connect anytime.
Diana, thank you so much for coming back on the show, sharing your time and insight.
Thank you.